Hey guys, it's Chuke here. Welcome to the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. At this time, we will still be out camping, so I did pre-record this episode. So we are out in the wild with Beans and Rob Roy Menzies on an expedition. Very excited. We're boondocking as far as we could get on the road system and a hot spot that we heard about. But I wanted to talk about some of the flack I've got since I started doing these almost a year ago is, Chuke, why do you believe in Bigfoot? Come on, you're ruining your reputation. It's just fun, guys. I just enjoy it. It is so exciting and fun for me to think about Bigfoot. And you do have to raise the question, well, if Bigfoot's real, why haven't we found any evidence of it? So I'm going to touch base with Rob Roy Menzies and Beans Baxter. Let's hear what they have to say, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. So a question I always get is, how come there's no proof that Bigfoot exists? But I think there's some compelling evidence, and I wanted to ask you what you thought about some of the more compelling evidence that's out there.
I think some of the most compelling would actually be DNA evidence that's been done. And what I always found fascinating is you never hear about this evidence.
Right.
It's been going on. They've been having DNA tested for decades.
Okay.
With very interesting results, mainly coming out with unknown.
Interesting.
And this is before the Melba Ketchum DNA debacle, fiasco, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But even that was intriguing. It's hard to discount. Well, you can't really discount DNA, but something is showing up that's not on any of the DNA.
So if it was bear, it would have come up
It would
as
have come
bear.
up.
If it was mountain gorilla, it would have come up
Yes.
as silverback gorilla.
Yeah, I mean, they have every animal that you can imagine, at least that we know of, on this DNA. It's a worldwide, system that you can check your samples with. I find it intriguing. The female, I think it's the female part of the DNA,
Right.
shows up as human,
Wow.
and this is what throws most scientists off. They stop right there. Oh,
Right.
wow, this is human, or it's been contaminated.
Right.
And I think this is what I remember Melba Ketchum saying that what they did. They just said, well, the hell with that, keep going. Let's do, I think it's the nuclear DNA is the male side. I want to say, I could be wrong.
Right.
But that will come up as unknown.
Interesting.
So most of what she was saying is most scientists will do their test, and the mitochondrial DNA will come up as human. So they just they don't do anymore. That's it.
Wow.
It's done. But it's amazing. I find old articles from the early '70s, even mid '70s, '80s, when DNA first started kind of coming out.
Right.
And there were some guys out there, just like you and I, who were really into it.
Yeah.
And actually had DNA done, and some of them come up as unknown.
Wow.
And these are sprinkled all throughout the history of, in the last several, since the '70s at least.
Right.
I've seen this come up. I've seen the reports come and go, but they don't stick. It's like people don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think the more recent one would be the Melba Ketchum DNA study. That's the one everybody goes to, but there's been studies, many studies before that,
Right.
that have concluded with unknown specimens.
Okay.
I can't name any in books and whatnot, but they're out there. You can look them up. You can.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they've already accomplished. It's almost like we're just chasing our tails.
Right.
People in early '70s were doing the same thing we're doing now. Tree knocking, vocalizations.
Right.
People were taking drum sets into the woods.
Oh,
It's
wow.
amazing the things people were doing back then,
Yeah.
and today too.
Okay.
But you see somebody whip out a flute
Yeah.
at a campfire, and you think that's really cool. I've never seen that, but yet it's probably been done
Right.
a few times already, But anyway, it's an interesting thing. I think that the footprints are definitely should be a factor, but a
think so,
lot
too.
can be hoaxed. There's a lot of questionable things there. I think more importantly are the stories around the footprints.
Absolutely.
If you have some kind of story that confirms the footprints, it makes it way more legitimate versus just seeing a footprint and taking somebody's word for it.
Yeah.
Even I'm skeptical of that. I mean, I don't believe everything I see.
Right.
And the older I get, the more skeptical I'm getting.
Yeah.
With AI and boy, look at these videos on YouTube and Facebook. These short little minis. They're like stories people are just making up,
Right.
and they're illustrating them with AI. It's really crude.
Yeah.
Some of the video, the animated AI of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But where are they all coming up with these stories?
Right.
There's no legitimacy. There's nobody backing them up. There's no proof. We're just hearing stories. People are just like making stories and illustrating them now.
Yeah.
I wish we'd go back to real, actual eyewitnesses, stories, taking back away from all this social internet stuff.
Right.
Because it's drowning the whole point.
Right. And the real stuff.
The real stuff, and thank God I do get in here. I do get to hear. I want to say the real stuff.
Right.
Being that it's a human being telling me what they saw.
Really good stories.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So it's a great story from a person. But anyway, what else is out there? Of course, eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
Credible eyewitnesses are always a great avenue to look at. It's easy to be suspicious about people who have seen everything.
Right.
And I don't want to fall into that because, what Lynn and I saw, the UFOs.
Right.
I want to say I've heard them out in Area A.
Right.
I've not seen a Bigfoot, but I believe I've heard them.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of open. I'm always kind of looking around. I'm observing a lot.
Right.
I'm open-minded. So I guess a person like me or you will have a greater chance of seeing something. The footage you took of the UFO, that's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Really, because it just sits there.
Yeah.
It's not like a plane or something.
It's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Well, hopefully we've got a couple trips planned this summer. Hopefully we'll
I hope
see
something. Wouldn't that be epic if something happens?
We're going to some squatchy places.
We are. Hopefully something will happen.
Yep.
So it'll be fun. Looking forward to it.
Fingers crossed.
So the big question that everybody asks, not just Bigfoot enthusiasts, but everyone wants to know is, where's the proof? What's the best proof for Bigfoot's existence? Why do these people believe that there's a 8-foot tall bipedal ape running around North America? And, I can only speak to my experiences and what I have learned and just what I know. I can't speak to everyone. Everyone's opinion varies wildly. Initially, when I took interest in this subject and started looking into it seriously, I was very skeptical of the Patterson-Gimlin film and didn't necessarily believe that it was an accurate film. I thought it was probably a hoax. And one year I had gone to the International Bigfoot Conference and Dr. Meldrum was speaking. It was the first time I ever met Dr. Meldrum. And he did an entire presentation on the Patterson-Gimlin film. And I went from, yeah, that's probably a hoax, to walking out of the room going, holy crap, Patty's real. It was enough information that he pointed out in that video that, I don't know anything about anatomy or physiology or, body movements, anything like that. And he had pointed enough out to me that I couldn't see with an untrained eye that really swayed my opinion. Later on, other things would happen. I got to meet Bob Gimlin and talk with him and hear his retelling and, just sit down and break bread with the man and talk to him. And that really helped me to come to the conclusion. I believe it's real. I'm not 100% certain that it's real, but I think probably more likely than not it is. If it's ever proven to be fake, I will, I'll be very disappointed. But for me, that's one of the big pillars of evidence. The other is just the amount of track casts. People, fake tracks all the time. And a lot of times they get called out, especially on social media. But, to a trained eye like Dr. Meldrum or Cliff Brackman, a lot of tracks, pass the smell test. And they just, how do these people that are faking them know enough about anatomy to fake those tracks? And to me, if it was just one thing, or if it was just a few grainy videos, or if it was just the tracks, or if it was just the witness statements, I would probably say, yeah, it's not true. It's probably fake. But just the totality of the circumstances, the totality of everything, some of the video evidence, the track casts, the witness testimonies, the historical data going back to the Native Americans. When you put all that together, there's something to it. I don't know what it is. Personally, I think that Bigfoot is a flesh and blood animal. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's some kind of interdimensional or spiritual thing. But I think when you take all of those factors into account, there's something to it. I don't know what it is. I want to know, but I don't know what it is. But there's just all that evidence, and all the videos, all the track casts, all the witness testimonies. There's hundreds, if not thousands. If you believe every podcast encounter that you hear, there's thousands. We might be creeping up on millions. But all it takes is one. Just one has to be real. Just has to be true. Just one. And there's thousands. So there's something to it. I don't know what it is, but I'm having fun trying to figure it out.
So there you have it. I think that Beans and Rob make great points. Some of the DNA studies that they've done are really interesting because they couldn't isolate what animal it was. That, to me, that's fascinating. I do think some of the footprints that they've taken are very interesting because they found even a fingerprint style of pattern on the footprint molds that they've taken. And you couldn't reproduce that. That'd be very tough. But the main reason why I tend to still believe, even though sometimes I'm very skeptical, is all the legends from just about every single Native American tribe on the whole continent. Everyone has a legend, a story, and that makes me think that there's something more going on that meets the eye. There is some kind of interdimensional aspect. Shout out to Jomo. Something is going on there. It's got some kind of hyperdimensional aspect to its existence that I don't know what that is, but I do believe that. So we're going to keep searching. Be on the lookout for a special episode next weekend where we have our expedition. And thanks for tuning in, guys. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.